Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. This is going to be a really short video. I don't have much to talk about. I just wanted to show you and remind you that for version 3 of the game, when the rules are finalized, you're going to need a Vichy army. This is my Vichy army. I took a break there from making videos for just about a week. I just made another one yesterday, but after the Nation series, I didn't make any for about a week. And this is the kind of things that I was doing. The new versions of the reference sheets came out based upon the work that the community has done in correcting them, plus what Morton and I did when we went through and made videos of all of the reference sheets. We were able to find all of the mistakes, I believe anyway. Who knows, maybe there's one mistake in all those, but the reference sheets are all good now, and you should be able to download them and print them off in color and everything, I believe. And if you remember the French video that I did in the Nation series, it talked about how, even though it's not in the beta rules that you were able to see on the site there, but just last week the rules were finalized so that the Vichy army is going to fight the Free French army. There will be a war between the two of them, and we've been looking for something like that for a long time, players of Global War, and so we finally got it. They finally figured a way to do it where it was somewhat balanced. Before that, like they couldn't find a way to balance it before. They found that the Free French were always winning easily, but anyway, they found a way to balance it. And so what I've done here is I've got the from Doug's French set there, I've got the Foreign Legion guy, and I've also got this guy here. That's from the French set as well. Most of the other things here are Axis and Allies, except for this guy. This is the Mountain guy from Historical Board Gaming, and this is the small tank from Historical Board Gaming. I've got more pieces than this for the Vichy army. This is just one of each, so you can see what I've done. Basically what these pieces are, most of them, is the French army from Axis and Allies, and I've painted them up a different color. Like you can see this guy back here. This is my French color here, right? And this is the color of the French and the Free French, and this is the color of the Vichy French. Now, it was no big deal before because the Vichy and the Free French didn't move, right? In the old rules, in the version 2 rules. So you just knew once you put the roundel on that country, you knew who they were. It's the ships that, you know, like the ships that you kind of needed to put a roundel underneath them, maybe, if you couldn't figure that out, who they went to. But otherwise, like if you had a Vichy roundel on this territory, for instance, then you knew that this unit was a Vichy unit. Like it was no problem. But that's not going to be the case now. Now you're going to divide them up like you did before. You know, where you roll for each ship and roll for each territory or groups of territories, and then on the German turn, not only will they be taking the Spanish nationalists turn, but they will be taking the Vichy French turn. And then when the French turn comes around, of course, they'll be doing the Free French turn. And the Germans will be lend-leasing. And of course, Vichy will have a couple of bucks. Instead of giving their money to the Germans, they will keep it for themselves and buy a few units. But they'll only be able to buy off the minor build chart. And so there's not much that they can purchase. But Germany is going to be lend-leasing to them. So that's why I've included in my set things like a tank, you know, because Germany could lend-lease a tank. And also remember that a lot of the units that will be on the board for the Vichy in the game will be the units that you rolled for, right? The territories that you rolled and happened to get, for instance, the Foreign Legion guy here. The only way you could possibly get the Foreign Legion guy is if, say, like there's one right there, if you rolled and you got this territory, well, now this guy's yours. And so I would just replace him with my Foreign Legion guy over there, right? So you wouldn't need a lot of them. And then the same thing with the Navy here. I did the Navy from the out of box Axis and Allies pieces. So I did put the flag on for them. And this is a German battleship. I decided to go with that one instead of the Russian one because they weren't really Russians anyway. And I figured these guys are going to be aligned to Germany or controlled by Germany. Sorry, so you might as well go with the German piece. Anyway, so thinking about this, like I was going to do this video today, I thought about it and I was thinking, geez, Doug should put a set out. Like people are going to need a Vichy army. And so I thought about it. And you must have seen on his site there where he's got the French set, right? Like these are the French pieces here. Really, really nice French set that came out last year. But then late in the year, he also came out with a light blue set. So they're much more like this color here. They wouldn't be exact, but they're much more like that. So I contacted him this morning and I said, hey, Doug, you should put out a set for the Vichy army because they're going to need one now. And he said, hey, that's a great idea. So he's going to do that. I don't know if it's going to be like tomorrow or the next day or 3 weeks from now. Hopefully it won't be too far down the road. But what he's going to do is he's going to use the light blue pieces and they will be from the French set. So it'll be nicer set than mine. Mine are Axis and Allies pieces, right? But I think what he might do though is take a look at like this here, this plane here. The transport plane comes from his Allied set. He's also got light blue Allied pieces. Like this tank destroyer, he would have light blue pieces as well, right? So he's going to take a look at those and see how close those are in color. Then he could provide like the Mack trucks, and because these guys don't have a motorized infantry, right? This set here. So like he could fill it out with some of those pieces. The escort carrier here, if he throws a light blue one in. Basically, what I was trying to get him to do was be able to put a set out that people could buy that they didn't have to paint. Because I don't mind painting, and I know a lot of you don't mind painting, and some of you do a lot nicer job than I do, that's for sure. But there's some people that just don't want to paint, right? And it's there's for whatever reason. There's lots of reasons. It could be they live in an apartment and it's just not practical for them to paint, right? Or they just like it does add a lot to the cost when you're thinking about how many different colors of paints you need and things like that. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to paint, and so that's why he's going to put a different colored set out for the Free French. Or sorry, for the Vichy French. You'll have your French set, which become Free French, but then you'll have a lighter blue Vichy French that are less color. And hopefully these things here and the Mack trucks and stuff, they will be able to, or be close enough in color that he can add those as well. And then, I don't know, maybe give you the option of buying some chips as well, right? Like throw some chips in and maybe even a set of these, right? Because you're going to need a set of these. If you don't already have them. But that might be something that's an optional part, right? Like buy the set of Vichy or buy the set of Vichy and the chips. We'll see. That's up to him. We'll see what he comes up with. But Doug, he's always doing a really good job with all this kind of stuff. Like he's really the best place to go to for aftermarket stuff in our community, right? Like when we're looking for something, that's the first place we look. And then, well, he didn't have what I was looking for, so then it's much harder and much more expensive to find it somewhere else. So but when he does put something out, like this French set last year, like that blew my mind when he put this out. It was so much nicer than the Axis and Allies pieces, right? So I think he's gonna put a pretty nice set up. Like the planes, like this is the tactical bomber here. This tactical bomber is way nicer than the tactical bomber, like the German, or sorry, the Russian one that you use, right? So this is his, and this is the one that you get from Axis and Allies. So much nicer pieces and everything, and that's what he's going to be making available soon. So anyway, that's good news. And what else? Like for myself here, like I've got the rest of my pieces in here. You don't need much, right? Mostly what I was looking for when I made up my own set was, okay, what does France have on the board? What are they likely to have on the board by the end of, like when they get taken out by the Germans, which is likely to happen. And then, so, okay, what's the worst case scenario when you started rolling for things, right? What is the Vichy going to get out of this? And so I did, like the best case scenario for the Vichy, made up that many units. But really beyond that, you don't need much because again, you're using the minor bell chart, which is not much stuff, right? Like it's artillery and infantry and I think cavalry. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't have one of those charts. Oh, hey, actually, I do have one. Where's the Free France chart here? Oh yeah, it's infantry, militia, cavalry, and mountain infantry. So there's the minor bell chart right there. Another thing that I did, like these are my, these are the new ones, right? And they look just like the old ones, except for there's no mistakes on them. But one thing I did, the France one is 5 pages, but I didn't want to waste a page, right? Like I like to do double-sided, and I took my time doing these. So like I would print off one. This is the first time I just bought my own printer. And so this is the first time I've been doing these things at home and laminating them and everything. So I did this side, but I also made up other sides for all of the other ones so that I don't have any spare pages, like no blank white pages in the whole thing at all. So in the description box of this video, I'm going to make this one available for you. And you can do the same thing if you like, is put this on the back of your France page. All this is just so you don't have to look in the rule book every time. It just basically tells you how to switch over, right? Like when Germany takes over Paris, okay, now I need to roll a 1 to 6 place a Vichy roundel, 7 to 12 place Free French roundel. Like you could eventually memorize all that stuff, but even after a number of games, I find myself still going to the rule book and wanting to make sure that I got all the numbers right, because this is a game with a lot of numbers in it, right? So anyway, I haven't done it yet, but I'll upload that media file, and then I'll put that a link to that in the description box. And as you can see here, like I tried to make it look like everything else. I'll show you two side by side there. So this is slightly different than this, and the top part I just copied and pasted. You can see a little line along the top there, so it looks pretty good. And same kind of texture and everything, same basic color, just slightly off. So you can do that if you want. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. But I've done something similar like that for all the nations that had an extra page. Like Italy was a 4-page thing, so Italy doesn't have an extra thing. Germany was a 5-page thing. So what I did was I put the Spanish Civil War rules on the back of like on the 6th page, and Russia was a 5-pager, so I put the Molotov-Ribbentrop pact on the back of that. Like I could have done the Spanish Civil War or the Molotov-Ribbentrop pact on either one of those, but I thought I'll do one and the other, so that rather than going to the rule book, they could just exchange those cards and look at them if they needed some kind of reference to check out either of those things. The Americans, I put the American minorities at war. The UK, I put down all of the rules for like the Maritime Air Patrol rules and the convoy rating rules, as much as I could fit on there, right? Like there's a lot on that stuff. So them, and then I can't remember what I did for the other guys, but anyway, I did that something similar for each one, and I'll put this French one out with this video here. So if you want, then you could put that on your 6th page of your France reference sheet when you decide to print it out. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. So look for that in the very near future, hopefully not too long, where Doug's going to put out a Vichy French set, and I'm sure it'll be reasonably affordable. Like it's definitely will be cheaper than buying 5 of these and 5 of these and 5 of these and 5 of these. You know what I mean? Like he always gives you some type of a deal when he puts a set together. So I'm sure it'll be really good. That's all I got for you today, though. So take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.